Most people think winning a talent show is the only way to the top. But when the judges on The Voice let this 14-year-old girl go, they had no idea they were looking at a future global sensation who would eventually outperform the winners 10 times over. What did they miss, and how did she become the industry's biggest regret? The year was 2018. The stage of The Voice Kids UK was filled with blinding lights, roaring crowds, and massive expectations. Among the dozens of hopeful young performers was a soft-spoken girl from Wigan, Lancashire. When she walked onto that stage, she carried no massive industry hype, no flashy television gimmick, just a voice of such extraordinary purity that it seemed to belong to a completely different era. But in the hyper-fast, high-pressure world of reality television, the judges are looking for quick wins, high-energy pop performances, and immediate television appeal. They are often blind to the slow-burning, generational talent standing right in front of them. The tragic irony of modern talent shows is that they are built for the television screen, not the actual music industry. They prioritize the dramatic arc, the flashy vocal runs, and the high-energy showmanship over raw, timeless vocal tone and emotional maturity. This is why so many winners of these shows vanish into obscurity just months after the confetti falls. They are manufactured for a single season, while true artists are built for a lifetime. When Lucy Thomas stood on that stage, she was an underdog. She didn't fit the typical pop star mold. She didn't rely on vocal gymnastics or theatrical antics to get attention. Instead, she offered something much rarer, a deep, resonant, and emotionally authentic connection to the music. And yet, when the semifinals arrived, the decision was made to let her go. It felt like a shocking rejection, a closed door on a dream that had barely begun. But what the producers, the coaches, and the executives failed to realize was that they hadn't ended her career. They had merely freed her from the confines of a television contract. They created a classic vindication narrative, the story of a dismissed underdog who would go on to prove every single critic wrong on a global scale. To truly understand the depth of this mistake, we have to go back to the very beginning of her journey on the show. In her blind audition, Lucy chose to sing the timeless classic Moon River, a song made famous by Audrey Hepburn in the 1961 film Breakfast at Tiffany's. It was an incredibly risky choice for a 13-year-old girl. Moon River requires an immense amount of breath control, a delicate vocal tone, and a deep emotional understanding of the lyrics, qualities that most mature adult singers struggle to master. Yet, from her very first note, the room fell completely silent. The judges, including Danny Jones and Pixie Lott, were visibly stunned by the sheer control and purity of her voice. It was a vocal that seemed to suspend time itself, transcending the superficial energy of the show. She ultimately chose to join Danny Jones's team, beginning a journey that many fans believed would lead her straight to the winner's trophy. During the battle rounds, she was grouped with 2 other incredibly talented kids to perform the song Smile. Even in a trio, Lucy's voice floated above the rest, possessing a sweet, melancholic depth that felt remarkably mature. Danny Jones chose her to progress to the semifinals, validating what millions of viewers at home were already starting to suspect. This was a once-in-a-generation talent. But then came the semifinals, and everything changed. But wait, what if I told you that her shocking elimination in the very next round was actually the greatest blessing in disguise of her entire life? What if her exit from the show was the exact moment the universe intervened to save her from a notorious corporate curse that has ruined the careers of countless young prodigies? While the official winner of the show walked away with a brief moment of television glory, Lucy Thomas was about to be offered a secret lifeline. Behind the scenes, a powerful industry force had noticed what the judges had completely missed, and they were preparing to make a move that would completely bypass the traditional music industry. The real story wasn't ending. It was about to pivot in a way that would make the ratings of The Voice look absolutely microscopic. Before we reveal that secret lifeline, we have to look at the exact moment she was let go. For her semifinal performance, Lucy was tasked with singing Wolves by Selena Gomez and Marshmello. This was her very first time performing a highly contemporary, fast-paced pop song on live television. While she delivered a beautiful, passionate cover that showed her incredible versatility, the track's modern pop production didn't fully highlight the classical crossover purity that made her so unique. When it came time for the final decision, Danny Jones chose to eliminate her, sending her home just before the live final. The official winner of that season was Daniel Davies, who delivered brilliant performances, but the immediate public reaction was one of profound shock and disappointment. Fans simply couldn't understand how a vocalist with Lucy's rare, ethereal ability could be let go so close to the finish line. It felt like a devastating, unfair rejection. But this rejection set up the ultimate vindication narrative. It created an emotional justice loop for the viewers, contrasting the temporary, short-sighted decision of a reality TV panel with the objective, long-term success of an independent icon. By letting her go, the show inadvertently freed her from a cycle of corporate control, allowing her to build a career on her own terms. To understand why losing was the best outcome, we have to pull back the curtain on how reality television contracts actually work. When a contestant wins a show like The Voice or American Idol, they are immediately locked into an incredibly restrictive, multi-album deal with a major corporate record label. These contracts are notoriously predatory. The artist has virtually zero creative control. They are forced to record songs they hate, fit into a pre-packaged pop image, and tour relentlessly to recoup massive corporate overhead. If their debut single does not immediately top the charts, the label shelves them, dropping them from the roster while legally preventing them from releasing music elsewhere for years. It is a corporate trap that has crushed the spirits of countless talented young singers. But because Lucy Thomas was eliminated in the semifinals, she was a free agent. She was completely untethered from these restrictive contracts. And that is when Cavendish Records stepped in. Named after the prestigious scientist Henry Cavendish, this independent label specialized in classical crossover and musical theater. They didn't want to turn Lucy into a generic, heavily auto-tuned pop star. They recognized that her true power lay in her classical training, which she had been formally developing since the age of 7. They wanted to nurture her natural voice, allowing her to sing sweeping, timeless ballads that resonated with listeners on a deep, emotional level. On February 1st, 2019, less than a year after her television exit, Lucy released her debut album, Premiere. The album was a breathtaking collection of musical theater classics and film themes. It was a massive statement of independence, proving that an artist could build a highly successful recording career without the backing of a major television network. What followed was an unprecedented run of musical success. Over the next several years, Lucy and Cavendish Records established a relentless, high-quality release schedule, putting out a new studio album nearly every single year. Albums like Encore in 2020, Timeless in 2021, Destiny in 2022, and Beyond in 2023 showed a rapid, astonishing maturity in her vocal performance. She was tackling some of the most difficult vocal arrangements in history, songs originally made famous by icons like Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, and Whitney Houston, and she was making them entirely her own. But her real conquest wasn't happening in traditional record stores. It was happening online, driven by an organic, grassroots movement of fans who fell in love with her vocal purity. While mainstream radio ignored her, Lucy took over the digital world. Her YouTube channel became an absolute global phenomenon. Her breathtaking, stripped-back cover of Hallelujah accumulated over 70 million views, and her channel rapidly sailed past the milestone of 1 million subscribers. In total, her performances have amassed over 300 million views on YouTube alone, with more than 60 of her videos crossing the prestigious 1 million view mark. When you look at platforms like TikTok and Instagram, videos featuring her mesmerizing voice have been viewed an astonishing 1.5 billion times. Think about that number for a second. 1.5 billion views. That is a level of reach and cultural impact that the winners of talent shows can only dream of. She had done the impossible. She built a massive, loyal, and global audience completely independently, outperforming the show's actual winners and dozens of mainstream pop stars combined. A key element of Lucy's incredible rise has been her commitment to family and her deep connection to her roots. Rather than moving to a major entertainment hub like London or Los Angeles, Lucy remained in her hometown of Wigan, surrounding herself with the people who had supported her from day one. This grounded environment allowed her to focus entirely on her craft. She frequently collaborates with her younger sister, Martha Thomas, recording beautiful duets that have become fan favorites. Their covers of songs like You Raise Me Up, What a Wonderful World, and Smile showcase a stunning vocal blend that only siblings can achieve. This heartwarming family dynamic added a layer of authenticity that money simply cannot buy. It contrasted sharply with the often artificial, highly manufactured image of corporate pop stars. Vocally, Lucy's development has been a masterclass in dedication. Her classical training is evident in every note she sings. She possesses a flawless, seamless transition between her chest voice and her head voice, a technique that allows her to hit soaring, powerful high notes without any strain or pitch instability. Her natural vibrato is incredibly controlled, and her tone remains warm and resonant across her entire vocal range. But what truly sets her apart is her phrasing and storytelling. When Lucy sings, she doesn't just hit the notes. She inhabits the character of the song, delivering a level of emotional nuance that is incredibly rare for an artist of her age. This massive digital popularity eventually translated into real-world, physical stardom, culminating in her highly anticipated West End debut. In October 2024, at just 20 years old, Lucy walked onto the stage of the iconic theatre Royal Drury Lane in London. This was the ultimate acoustic trial. Standing in a historic 212-year-old venue, backed by a magnificent 30-piece live orchestra, Lucy chose to perform with absolutely no backing tracks, pitch correction, or digital aids. It was a massive gamble in an era where most mainstream artists rely heavily on production tricks to survive live performances. But the gamble paid off spectacularly. Lucy delivered a performance so flawless and emotionally moving that she received an incredible 9 standing ovations from an audience that had traveled from as far away as the United States, Japan, and Australia just to hear her sing. This was her absolute vindication. It was the moment she transitioned from a digital cover sensation to a legitimate theatrical icon. Following this triumph, she took on the leading role in a highly anticipated new historical musical titled Rosie, a new musical written by composer Chris Broom. The show tells the dramatic true story of Rosie Boot, a young woman raised in an Irish convent who overcame immense social adversity to become a beloved star of the West End stage in Edwardian London. In March 2026, the show had its spectacular West End Gala premiere at the legendary Adelphi Theatre on the Strand. Lucy's performance as Rosie Boot was described by critics as absolutely room-commanding, proving that she wasn't just a brilliant studio singer, but a highly competent, charismatic, and powerful theatrical actor. The studio cast album for Rosie had already won 6 international songwriting awards, with Lucy's solos like Starlight, Suddenly, and Broken Dreams accumulating millions of streams worldwide. To truly understand why the judges on The Voice made such a historic blunder, we have to look at the psychology of talent, show voting, and executive decision-making. TV shows are hyper-focused on immediate, high-energy spectacle. They want high-tempo dance numbers, flashing lights, and contestants who can deliver vocal fireworks in a 2-minute television block. Classical crossover and musical theater artists, on the other hand, require patience. Their talent lies in the subtle nuances, the emotional storytelling, and the pristine vocal purity that builds over the course of an entire song. The judges on The Voice Kids were looking for the next pop trend, completely missing the fact that timeless, classic music actually has a much larger, more loyal, and far more lucrative audience in the long run. This is a pattern we see over and over again in the music industry. Think about artists like Jennifer Hudson, who was eliminated early on American Idol only to win an Academy Award and a Grammy later in life. Or One Direction, who didn't even win their season of The X Factor, but went on to become the biggest boy band on the planet. Talent shows are designed to crown a winner of a television show, not a winner of the actual music industry. Lucy Thomas is the ultimate modern example of this phenomenon. Her independent career has proven that a dedicated, organic fan base is infinitely more valuable than a temporary television trophy. By bypassing the mainstream music machine, she maintained complete creative control over her music, allowing her to stay true to her classical crossover roots without being forced to conform to the fleeting trends of the pop charts. In the end, Lucy Thomas's journey is the ultimate story of justice and vindication. It is a powerful reminder that a rejection from an institution or a panel of judges is never the end of your story. Sometimes, it is the exact catalyst you need to find your true path. The Voice Kids UK may have let her go in 2018, but the world didn't. Today, with over 1.5 billion views, 5 highly acclaimed studio albums, and a triumphant leading role in a major West End musical, Lucy Thomas stands as the true winner of that competition, proving that quality, authenticity, and raw talent will always win in the end. Her story closes the emotional justice loop for everyone who has ever been underestimated or dismissed by a critic. If you want to witness the exact moment this incredible journey began and hear the breathtaking vocals that left the world speechless, you need to hear her performance of Moon River. Click on the next video to listen to the voice that the industry couldn't silence and see for yourself why she remains the biggest mistake a talent show has ever made.